as you know, I started out at Price Waterhouse, and I was in the technology organization within Price Waterhouse in the consulting group. And during my career there, I pretty much specialized in large-scale ERP implementation type of projects. Started out, if any of you remember, the days of McCormick and Dodge in MSA software. Actually began my career helping companies drive value out of those particular solutions, and ultimately that morphed into our the firm's SAP and their Oracle practices, and I ran the Oracle practice for PwC in the Americas. And so that's kind of what I found to be really interesting was to work with large multinational companies in addressing their technology frameworks to support the businesses, and really had gotten a lot of I guess insight into some of the issues that companies have in terms of embracing technology, and also thinking that when they implemented technology, it was going to solve all their problems. And in most cases, it never solved all the problems, and it probably is only a very small fraction of the problems. It was not the technology necessarily. It was really the processes that were enabled by technology, the data that was enabled by technology, and then the human element, the type of talent that you had in your company, and how they exercise the use of the technology. So it was an interesting time of my career to see that, and I think it's framed my thinking in terms of even today how you use technology and where you apply it, how you provide care and feeding to whatever it is that whatever solutions you've implemented. And I think that's what's, my success as I transitioned out of consulting into running large scale sales organizations. It really, created the kind of the launch pad for me in terms of how I saw the elements of what my responsibilities as a sales leader were, and how to address and transform these sales organizations to get a better result than they were getting before I was brought in to help do that transformation. And I think my background. When I left PwC and went to Oracle, the reason I was brought in was to provide a different type of selling motion into Fortune 500, Fortune 300 types of companies, and to get into more of a consultative selling type of sales motion, as opposed to a feature function sales motion, which Oracle was historically been well known for being able to sell functions and features, but pretty light on how they translated that into business value and how that may have impact on a company's bottom line in terms of using the technology. So there was a lot of selling of software based on the fact that it was cool, and not necessarily on what drove the bottom line, and what would really engage a CFO in a conversation around why it was important to make that kind of a huge investment. And if you remember those ERP implementations, those were huge projects. I mean, I had one that was $100 million cost to the company that engaged us. So they weren't trivial, and the companies were betting their company on that software transformation, and so it became really a key ingredient to be able to use a North Star of business value and business outcome versus, hey, I just got this software in and it works, which is what a lot of what had been done in the past. So at any rate, the Oracle experience was really good. that led to me being recruited into HP by Mark Hurd. I ran the U.S. sales organization for HP, basically had everything in their portfolio with the exception of PCs and printers, and did that for several years. When we acquired EDS, I was asked to go down there and be one of the 4 executives from HP to help bring EDS into the fold. I ran worldwide sales for that EDS organization. And then subsequently, I spent a couple of years at Infor, and then a year at NetApp. And in all those roles, it was basically running multinational, large-scale sales organizations to sell software or hardware.